I got an episode for you. Today, I'm talking about the number one thing that's holding you back from having what you want. Now, I've often shared that part of my life journey up until my 40s was the struggles that I've had with personal relationships. So, for most of my life, from my I guess early 20s, I think 20 when I had my first serious relationship. My relationships from that time never really lasted for more than about 4 or 5 years. And there was very similar patterns that played out in each relationship. And part of that was that, I had very low self-esteem. I had abandonment issues. I had an anxious attachment style. I was codependent. There was a lot of stuff going on there, and probably not surprisingly, really, from the experiences that I had had throughout childhood, with both of my parents being married and divorced 3 or 4 times each. And, there's a whole lot of stuff there. And I could do a whole other episode on relationships. But the point of this is that I remember very clearly when my coach asked me a few years ago, what would it be like if I was in a relationship with my ideal partner? And I remember imagining it. And as soon as this image hit my mind, there's this huge amount of fear that come up, right? And I started crying. And, the truth was, I was petrified of being in a relationship with my ideal partner because I had a terrible fear that they would leave me. Okay, so the representation I had is if I had this ideal man in my life, that they would leave me, right? So that's why I'd get into relationships that were low value, where I felt like I had control, right? And that they wouldn't leave me. Okay, so it wasn't ideal, right? They were never ideal. But with the unresolved trauma that I had up until that time, it felt weirdly safe for me, right? I felt more in control. I felt I wasn't going to lose anything, right? So I had the neurology for that kind of situation. I knew how it worked. I knew what I could expect. And that was, that's what I kept choosing rather than to be truly happy and have what I most wanted, right? So funny story is that it's now a bit over 18 years since I first met my partner, and we've spent 6 of those years apart because of these patterns that played out. And now we're in a very different place because we've both done a lot of work, right, to get to where we are today. So the dynamic of my relationship today is totally different, even though it's with the same person that I've had a couple of relationships with, because I don't need to play out those old traumas anymore, right? But anyway, this isn't just about relationships. This episode is not just about relationships. It also applies to money. It applies to health. It applies to your business and any other area of your life, right? All comes down to this same thing. And so what's really interesting to know is that usually there are just certain areas, right, that things aren't how you want them in your life. So for example, for me, it's been around relationships and money. That's been the biggest challenges for me, but my health has always been pretty good, right? I've always been pretty healthy. I've never had any real health issues, right? Like even now, 49, I'm healthy, right? I'm strong, I'm healthy, I'm flexible, I'm in control of my weight, all those kinds of things. Despite the fact I didn't always live a healthy lifestyle, right, mind you, but I had the neurology that I could be in a fit, healthy body. That was a belief, right? And that's a belief that I have. It's a belief that has come down, I've got a lot of longevity in my family. For other people, they might have always had money sorted out. They might have always felt that it was easy to get money, but like they've had all kinds of health problems, right? Or some people, they might have great relationships, but money is a problem for them. Okay, so I'm going to break this down to what's really holding you back from having whatever it is that you want, whether that be in relationships, whether it be in your health, whether it be in your business, okay, whether it be around your finances. I'm going to break all of this down.
Hey there, fabulous listeners of the Coaching Circle. It's Toni Everard, your go-to NLP Master Trainer and Business Mindset Coach. Elevate yourself to new heights by joining the Coaching Circle Insiders, a premium subscription membership tailored for coaches and wellbeing practitioners at an incredibly affordable price. Inside, gain exclusive access to a supportive community, valuable resources, and expert guidance on mastering your coaching, communication, and business mindset skills. Let's get close and personal with weekly training and live Q&A to get all your questions answered. Sign up now by clicking the link in the show notes, and I'll see you on the inside.
So here's the thing, right? When you're born into your family or whatever society or cultural environment that you were born into, when you're born, you're like a little sponge and you just quickly absorb all of the values and the beliefs and the attitudes and just the way of being in that environment so that you can survive and be socially accepted. Okay, because especially as little children, it's important that we learn very quickly everything about how to survive in our environment. And a lot of that is about fitting in, right? Because as a little child, as humans, we can't, we're not self-sufficient until we're, at least into our teens, if not 20s these days, right? But as little children, we have to absorb everything and learn very quickly about how do I survive in this environment. And so as children, our unconscious mind just absorbs everything, right? As that this is how things are. We don't have the ability to critically analyze any of the information that we receive until we're around, 5 to 7 years old. And so that's why, young children quite easily believe in Father Christmas or the Easter Bunny or whatever else they get told, right? Whatever else they get told. And so we're conditioned to believe that our reality is the experience that we're brought up in, right? How the people in that environment talk, think, act towards us, how they act towards other people, all of that serves as our model of the world, right? How things are, right? So, but the problem is that that model of the world isn't necessarily factual, right? It's not factual. It's just what happens in that environment. And it may be that we create beliefs in our minds that represent, as a result of being in this environment, we may create beliefs in our minds that represent a negative association to having the things that we really want to have. Okay, so perhaps, for example, perhaps the person that you loved most in the world, say one of your parents when you were little, maybe they left. Right. And that was a lot of pain for you. And so that you learn, if you love someone really deeply, that they could leave, and that's really painful. Right. Maybe that someone like when you were young, there was someone around your family or in your environment that had a lot of money, and people in your environment spoke very poorly about them and very poorly about the fact, oh, those people, and they've got all the money, and oh, they're so rude, they're so greedy, they're so oh, it's all right for them with all their money, whatever else conditioning it might have been. Right. And so then get this belief that, like, having a lot of money, people in your environment don't like that. Right. So then, you can become this belief of like, well, if I have money, people in my environment won't like me. Okay. So, you may have had situations where you were in trouble each time that you and your brothers and sisters were playing and having a lot of fun, right? For being too loud or too excitable. Okay, so then you might learn, oh, I can't have too much fun. I can't be too loud. I can't take up too much space. My needs don't matter that much. Okay, it may have been that someone that you knew or someone in the family or in the environment, they may have had a business that failed, or that they just worked all the time, which meant that they didn't have time for you. right? These could all have, and the thing is about all of these experiences, they could have all been very just unique one-off experiences that happened from a world perspective. But as a small child, they may have been your only experience, right? And so, therefore, what we do is we structure, okay, this experience, this is the outcome. This is what I believe is real about this for me. Even though there's all kinds of people having businesses all over the world that are making loads of money, that there are people who are making money and having loads of time, that there are people having amazing relationships and feeling loved and supported, and every other experience of life that exists in the world, if the one experience that you had was different than that, you may take on that belief that that's how things are in the world for you. Okay, so the problem with that is that even when you become an adult, right, even when you become an adult, even though you may consciously become aware that there are other possibilities in the world, like there are possibilities that people have loving relationships, there are possibilities in the world that people have really successful businesses and make lots of money and do whatever they want to do. There are people in the world who into their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s are really healthy and fit and well, and keep a balanced weight, all those kinds of things. Even though that you become aware consciously that that's possible, you may still not believe it's possible for you, because the old neurology from your childhood that says how things are is still running in the background at the unconscious level. Okay, so what does this mean for you? Okay, great. Problem, awareness, what now? Okay, so what it means for you as an old adult is that you need to be able to take responsibility for reconditioning yourself. Okay, so that model of the world that was conditioned into you as a child, right? The good thing is we know we have neuroplasticity. We can change our neurology, right? We can change our neurology. We can take responsibility as an adult of reconditioning that, okay, for ourselves into whatever it is that we want. So to do that, you need to learn how to work with your unconscious mind to release those old negative emotions and limiting beliefs, right? To sort out those misaligned values and attitudes and recondition yourself with a new way of being. Right? You become curious about those who already have what you want to have. So instead of going, oh, those people, as if they're separate from me, see them as an example of what's possible for me. Okay, so those people who have great relationships, those people who have great businesses, the people that are great with money, the people that have great glowing health, be curious about that and see that, okay, if I can see this is possible in the world, then it's possible for me. And as part of this, that you need to understand that any fear you have is an illusion. Okay, any fear that you have is an illusion. Fear is an illusion. Okay, fear also can stand for false expectations appearing real. Okay, it's an illusion. And I know this. I know negative emotions are an illusion for 100% fact, because the amount of work that I've done with people, and they come into a session and 1 minute they're fearful of something, they're angry about something, they're sad about something, they're guilty about something, they're ashamed about something. And within a few minutes or by the end of the session, that emotion no longer exists. The only thing that's changed is their perspective on it. Okay, so fear is an illusion, and really all emotions are a derivative of fear in one form or another. So the truth of who you are, this is the thing that you need to know. The truth of who you are is much greater than any fearful limiting thought. Right? The truth of you and being your best self and living your most magnificent expression of you is much greater, it will be a much greater experience for you than any of the limiting connections to people, things, reality you have right now. Okay, but fear tells us otherwise. Fear tells us otherwise, right? So we have to know that you can change your neurology. And one of the best ways you can do that is you can change your environment, right? So you can spend more time with people who have already what you want to have. Find out what they think, what they do, what they believe, how they behave, right? How they interact with other people. Get clear on what you want and get rid of the yeah buts, right? You know, the yeah buts, right? For example, I want to have a loving relationship with my ideal partner, but I'm afraid they'll leave me and I'll be hurt. Well, the whole thing that comes after but isn't what you want, right? You've got to get clear on what you want. So what is an example of this as what you want? Well, I want to have a loving relationship with my ideal partner that feels mutually satisfying and exciting as we grow together. And, that is what you want. Okay, so we want to get like any of the negative connotations that you're attached to what you want, you've got to get rid of them and flip them. Okay, so another example might be saying, oh, look, I want to grow my business and make more money, but I'm afraid I'll be too busy. Okay, so listen to what happens after the but I'm afraid I'll be too busy and I won't have time for myself and I'll have more problems to deal with. Well, all of that stuff after the but isn't what you want. So you've got to flip it, you got to change it. So that could turn into, well, I want to grow my business and make more money while having time for what I love and work with people who inspire me every day, right? That's more like what you want. So the number one thing that we've got to be aware of that is holding you back from whatever it is that you want is the negative consequences that you're telling yourself will come from having it. And these can be very sneaky. The yeah buts just kind of sneak on by, right? They're sneaky, sneaky little sneaky snakes. So you got to get awareness of those and flip them. Ask yourself, is this really true? Is it really true? How can I know that's true? How do I know that it's really true that if I was in a relationship with my ideal partner that they would leave me? How do I know that that's true? Is it really true? What if it wasn't true? Who would I be without this belief? What would I do? Okay, is it really true that if I grew my business and made more money that, I'd have all these extra problems? Is it really true? How do I know that that's true? Oh, because that's what happened to Uncle Fred. Okay, well, perhaps Uncle Fred was doing some other stuff that didn't help, right? Is it necessarily true for everyone all the time? No. Right, so who would I be without this belief? Well, I'd be someone who would be going after my goals a whole lot more actively. Okay, so getting awareness of this is the first step, right? Sometimes you can do that for yourself. Sometimes you can do that for yourself, but the problem is, as a coach myself, having coached and trained and mentored, other coaches, people, individuals, business owners, practitioners, therapists, for the last 8 years or so, I'm very good at coaching, and I've got pretty good self-awareness, and I still have my own coaches. I still have my own coaches because sometimes you just can't see out of your own box. Right? Sometimes you just can't see out of your own box because you don't have the neurology to. Your neurology is running the same story of this is how the world is. I ran the neurology of this world yesterday and it kept me alive. Didn't necessarily keep me happy, right? It kept me alive. So I'm going to run it again today. So you have to get awareness of what am I running that's not actually aligned with what I want. So getting awareness is the first step. Like I said, sometimes you can do it for yourself, but it's likely you'll get there much faster if you get some help, right? Get some help, get some support. And that's what having a great coach will help you do, right? And there's loads of great coaches around. I've trained loads of great coaches. I teach people all of these skills as well. I love teaching people these skills so that you can have your own self-awareness, and I provide ongoing support for people. There's loads of ways that I help, whether it's this podcast, whether it's the Coaching Circle Insiders, whether it's practitioner trainings, my private groups, coaching programs, all those kinds of things. Everything is here for you to get that help and support. So what is it exactly that you've been telling yourself that's stopping you from having what you want? What is it you're telling yourself? And stop it. Stop telling yourself that. Flip it. Flip it and reverse it. All right. Because you're the only thing that is between you and having what you want. And my friend, you are here because the world is an amazing place that's full of opportunities. If you can see it, if you can perceive it, you can have it for yourself. Right? You've just got to choose to allow it. You've just got to choose to believe it. You've just got to choose to create it for yourself in a way that is good, happy, safe, what you want. Right? Get rid of the negative consequences that aren't even true. Go for what you want, my friend. It's all here. It's waiting for you. Have an amazing day.